I, Luke, send a message to all those that follow our Lord Jesus Christ. There is a terrible evil in the world. Darkness is spreading. I know you are suffering persecution. Faith is being tested. I know you question the way, but I've come to Rome to find Paul, to write his story, to bring hope, to bring light into this present darkness, and to remind us all how God changed a hateful man who will change the history of the world.
Luke, am I dreaming?
I'm here. Rome is stained with the blood of our brothers and sisters.
This is what trusting God gets you.
People are desperate. We're the only light left in the city.
I cannot fix their faith.
You can inspire their faith.
You risk people looking to me before Christ.
The day I heard you preach, my God, I saw Christ in you. There are men, women, children that will never meet you. There must be a handwritten account of your acts.
What do you really know about these Christians? I am concerned with these documents.
We've got to get these out of Rome.
Do you think that we are plotting an escape?
Write another word and I send you to whatever God you want.
Luke!
They've gathered men to overthrow Rome.
To what end?
Justice!
They want revenge.
No! Why not? Love is the only way. When the moment comes, you will have the strength to do what is right.
Your people died today.
This world doesn't know a thing about love.
Where sin abounds, grace abounds more.
Hi, this is Mike Furchess and my wife Mary Jane Furchess back with you here with the Movie Guys. Thank you for joining in and watching the program today as we review the movie Paul, the Apostle of Christ, starring Jim Caviezel and James Faulkner. And we'll talk to you some about that. But first of all, some good news, some potentially good news. There's a 90% chance, a really good chance, that we will soon be moving the program to Shocker Studios, where we'll be doing the bulk of our recording. Wichita State University and their film school will be assisting in the program. They'll be using a 3-camera shoot, as well as using their students for editing, production, even maybe on occasion as a guest host to be with the program. So I want to thank you again for tuning in and give you that bit of good news as we are trying to get more and more so broadcast ready for television. We recently saw Paul, Apostle of Christ. Mary Jane, tell us about when and where we saw the movie at.
Well, we saw the movie in Palm Springs, California. We were on vacation, and Mike had an advanced screener, and to take a break from all the activities we were doing out there, we sat down and watched the movie.
Yeah. Movie stars Jim Caviezel. You may know him from The Passion of the Christ. He played the part of Jesus in Mel Gibson's production, which I did not realize is to this day the largest grossing independent film ever made, as I was doing some research for this review. He's also signed up, Jim Caviezel has, he signed up for a sequel to The Passion of the Christ. And some people, I had a friend from Kentucky asked me today, he said, how are they doing, how are they redoing that? How can they redo that? Jesus died, and well, here's how they're redoing it. They're starting the movie with the resurrection. The first movie started the week before the crucifixion of Christ, and the new movie that Caviezel has signed on to, they're being really tight-lipped about, starts off with the resurrection of Christ and continues, I think, for the next 40 days. Caviezel has said that he thinks that the movie, from the script and everything that he's seen in the production notes, that he thinks it will be the largest grossing film of all time. We'll see about that. But there was a television show that we also watched with Jim Caviezel in that we both liked a lot, called Person of Interest. And in my print review, I made mention, Caviezel seems to play the same type of part. He's kind of a typecast actor, maybe that's the way he really is. But he's a mild-mannered, calm, collective, just kind of a quiet guy. But in Person of Interest, he played that type of role, although he was kind of an undercover agent that knew martial arts and knew how to shoot guns and all that kind of stuff. Tough guy. But he was still
Gentle.
Very gentle in his character. And from everything I've seen about Caviezel, that seems to fit close to his personality. I've never met him, never interviewed him. Maybe we can in the future. So Jim Caviezel in the movie, what did you think of him there, Mary Jane?
I thought he did a great job. I didn't know that much about what went on in Rome. I mean, I knew something, but not quite the extent that the movie shows that Paul suffers.
Yeah, a lot of people may think Jim Caviezel does not play the part of Paul in the
No.
movie. Explain that.
He plays the part of Luke, the Apostle Luke, who comes to Rome to visit with Paul in prison, and becomes his stenographer, so to speak.
Scribe, or
Scribe.
yeah, he writes things. A mentor, a friend, but a scribe as well. A lot of people don't know this. The movie, I think, is very, from a biblical perspective, the movie Paul, Apostle of Christ. Like from a biblical perspective, it's very accurate. And you see a lot of times scriptures being quoted in the context that they may have been used. But from a historical perspective, I think it's also very accurate. Paul at this time, he's in prison. James Faulkner plays the part of Paul. You may know him from the movie Atomic Blonde that's been in theaters. It's now, I think, on DirecTV, streaming television. But he's also in Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, and The Da Vinci's Demon. He's a well-known actor. Mary Jane, you didn't recognize him at all. I still can't place him from Game of Thrones, can you? If you can imagine with how we go back and look at it, I think you can understand who he is then. But he was a regular cast member in Game of Thrones. Probably will be. I think his character was killed off. I probably shouldn't say that, but I think that's the case. But James Faulkner actually plays the part of the Apostle Paul. He's older, and this review is different because I'm addressing a lot of biblical themes in the movie that I normally don't do. And I challenge that this review is really predominantly more so for Christians than non-Christians, because the themes of the movie, I think, address Christianity and where Christians are at, or should be at. Paul, we can be honest here, okay? I think that in today's Christianity, in today's Christian world, we see so many of these TV evangelists, the prosperity people, name it, claim it, God will heal you, all of this stuff. And it's never really resonated with me, it's never really settled with me, because they seem to ignore the reality of Christians in the first century. One of whom was the Apostle Paul. Mary Jane, was he wealthy?
No.
Were any of the Christians in the movie that we saw presented, were any of them wealthy?
No.
We see them living in communal concepts. I didn't mention this in my print review, but they live together in a sense in the old hippie days we called community. They're close together, they're in proximity, they eat together, they share meals together. They're together all the time because they live close together. Do you remember why it was that they lived close together in that time?
Well, because they were being persecuted. It was for safety, for one reason. I mean, there was safety in numbers and the support that they needed for each other. I think not only just the physical support, but the spiritual support too.
Yeah. So we see all of that in the movie, which I think is enlightening and tells us something about where the church has become from where the church was. The character Paul, though, Caviezel gets the headlines because he's the primary star, but Faulkner does an incredible job as the Apostle Paul. Paul, over the years, especially the recent years, has gotten so much criticism because so many people have taken his writings out of context, whether it be women involvement in the church, women in leadership, and so forth. And they don't understand the time that Paul wrote this, nor do they even begin to understand the Apostle Paul. At one time, Paul was not always a friend of the church, and these are things that the movie presents. He was not a friend of the church, was he?
No, it shows some flashbacks when he was persecuting the Christians, and it brings to light that he's come to the point, he's so sorry and that he has done this and mistreated them.
He has regrets, he has doubts to some extent. His only confidence really is in the reality that God and Christ are perfect, that specifically Jesus Christ was perfect and showed him love despite the fact that he was such a terrible sinner. And as a result of the love that Christ showed him, Paul has a passion to do what? And to teach what?
Love.
Love. Love who?
Everybody, even the Romans.
It's amazing. In today's world, I see politics. And I see Christians involved in politics. And they are so gung-ho, outspoken, and rebellious and everything of that nature. Yet Paul was one truth or, I mean, if you read the Bible, it's clear, but the movie paints the picture really well. He went out of his way to show love and compassion even to those who were beating and persecuting him. Does he not?
Yes. Yes, he
And,
does.
and so what's the message that Luke gets from that, and that he takes back to the church who's meeting in secret? In Rome at the time, the Roman
Yeah.
church.
I think Luke gets the message that love, we are to love others, love our enemies. And that's one way to reach them, to be successful, and not monetarily or materialistically, but to be successful in their faith, is to show the Romans the love that God wants, that God has for them.
And again, this is one of those things that in my print review, which came out yesterday, there's already been a lot of debate on this. Even in regards to showing Rome, how outspoken was the early church? And that response, no matter what you think or say, is appropriate. Mary Jane, your thoughts in movie, as far as if you were to rate on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your thoughts?
I would give it an 8 at least, minimum 8.
Yeah.
I thought it was well done, had a tremendous, powerful message, I think. For me it did. I hope it does for others. As Christians, we're called to love and forgive. And it's not easy. But we're called to do that. If we follow Jesus, that's what we're supposed to do.
I've been real critical in the past, and probably will continue to be so, of Christian-oriented films. The truth is, they're garbage. Most of them. I shouldn't generalize and say they all are. There's some good ones that are out there. Thankfully, Pureflix, as an example, has been doing some films recently that are pretty good. Samson was decent. A Case for Christ was decent. This movie is put out by Sony Pictures, and I think that they do a great job. The technical components, the cinematography, the acting, the lighting, the sound. This is a class grade A movie, and I wish that half of the Christians making film would follow the example of making excellence the way that Sony did in the making of this film. I get so sick and tired of people saying, well, what good comes out of Hollywood? It really ticks me off. First of all, there is no definition of Hollywood. Is Hollywood a place? Is it a location? Is it a thing? Is it a concept? What is it? There are good Christian people involved in all walks of life, whether they be plumbing, carpentry, movie making, or whatever. This is an excellent film. Is it perfect? I was a little bored at first, so I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I would say it's very good. I would agree on a scale of 1 to 10. I would give it at least an 8, and that's the final score that I'll give it is an 8, but it comes so close to getting a 9, it's unbelievable. And I challenge, again, Christians to watch this movie. I challenge them to watch this movie, and I want you to think about the things that Paul and that Luke in the first century church went through. We hear so many times, yeah, but that was Jesus, and he was different. Well, there is a reality to the truth that Jesus was the Son of God and could do things that were unbelievably difficult. But there's also a truth that there were many of those in the first century, such as the Apostle Paul, the Apostle Luke, or those Christians who willingly marched in to be slaughtered by lions, that they had a strength and a love that it seems to be very lacking and almost non-existent in today's world of faith and Christianity. And so I challenge Christians that see this movie to think about that. And I know that's a little preachy, but this is a different kind of movie that I'm glad to review. And for non-Christians, it can be very educational for you too. I'm not going to force Christianity or Jesus down your throats. But from a historical perspective and from a reality of what Christians are supposed to be like, this is a powerful movie. And I'd strongly recommend it. Any closing words?
Go see it.
Go see it. It opens up in theaters tomorrow if you see the video today. March the 23rd, if it's in theaters then, or by the time you see this, go see it. If it's on DVD, by the time you see this, get the DVD, watch it on streaming, Netflix, Amazon, or wherever it might happen to be showing. It's a film that churches should go to and talk about. And I challenge churches and people of faith to question and challenge the church to be the church that we see represented in this film. A church that comes together, lives together, supports each other, has a strong sense of community, but at the same time has an understanding of what it means to genuinely love your enemies. Because an amazing thing in this movie is that even Paul, the man that sends the Christians to death, Paul and Luke both maintained their love and a cordial relationship with him despite his actions of killing multitudes of Christians. Something to think about. That's it for now. I want to thank you for watching The Movie Guys. As a reminder, make sure you follow us on YouTube. Go to Facebook at facebook.com/The Movie Guys. Wichita Movie Guys, I'm sorry. It's facebook.com/Wichita Movie Guys. Follow us there. Subscribe to our pages. And again, I want to thank you for watching and hope you have a great and blessed day. And for all of those who are watching, one reminder as you go into the theaters, don't turn your cell phone down, turn it off. None of us who are going to the movies want to be hindered or bothered by your desire and your need to disrupt the movie-going experience for the rest of us in the theater. Until next time, see you at the movies.